All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumani Msisinyani. Amid speculation that Mofokeng is also now on his way out to Al-Ettifaq in Saudi Arabia to join Mohau Nkota, who has preceded him in that same path, for a rumored around 25 to sort of 28 million rands, which is a lot of money. Especially when you, I think relatively, we know that Mamelodi Sundowns signed Ronwen Williams for something like 20 million. I think that was the reported fee. And then the reported fee for Marcelo Allende coming to Mamelodi Sundowns was 50 million rands. So Mohau Nkota is right in the middle of those two figures. And so just to get a bit of an idea of how much money is involved in this deal. And yeah, amid kind of like that, we obviously heard the announcement of the departure of Mohau Nkota a couple of days back now. Now we are also hearing about the rumored following departure in the same path of Mofokeng. And yeah, this episode is not going to be about transfers as much, but it's going to be about more of like a philosophy. It's going to be about something that has kind of now come to my mind, that I'm thinking that Pirates can kind of like embark on this journey, you know, and I just want to put the thoughts to you and hear what you guys think about this. So if you see me kind of looking down here, it's because I've got my notes. I've already started this like new thing that I do on these shows where I refer to my notes because I want to hit all the points that I thought about before the show and not leave anything out. I'm abandoning my strategy of talking from the top of my head, because often after that I go, I should have said this, or I should have said that, or at least I should have said this way and that in this other way. So I'm going to look down here a lot of the time because I want to remember some of the things that I do want to talk about. Now I've already mentioned that this episode is going to be more about like philosophy than it is about transfers. I think what has happened with, you know, the transfer of Mohau Nkota is led me to ask a question. And the question is this, is can Pirates intentionally now adopt a create and sell model and still remain strong and stable and successful, and still be able to compete in the PSL and still be able to compete at continental level? And yeah, that's my question, is can the club now, you know, going forward, thinking about, you know, all these young players that we are now manufacturing at the club, previous players that we have manufactured at the club and we've sold abroad, can we intentionally now say, okay, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to adopt a philosophy, which is we're going to create stars and we're going to sell them in Europe, and we're going to take money and we're going to reinvest it. So I want to go through that like in this episode. And yeah, so I mean, in the last couple of years, what we've seen kind of rise at Orlando Pirates is this lab of the development system, which has been producing insanely talented young players who are ready to take on first team football and conquer it. I mean, in previous years, not so long ago, obviously there was Lyle Foster, who came out of our development system, was sent abroad. He now plays in the Premier League with Burnley. In latter years, we see now, you know, especially in the period of about 2 to 3 years, we're counting Mofokeng, Mohau Nkota, there's Silepe now, there's Cameron Danson, Mbokazi. These 5 players that I've now mentioned are part of the Orlando Pirates squad. Well, with the exception of Mohau Nkota, because he has now left and gone abroad. But these 5 players that I've mentioned are a part of the Orlando Pirates first team. And then there's also Neo Mokoena, who's being promoted. I think a couple of days back as well, we've heard about the fact that Orlando Pirates are promoting Neo Mokoena to the first team. And that would make it 6, right? And there are some players that you hardly ever hear about who are also maybe promoted, or at least are getting an opportunity to train with the first team. But I think what we've seen with this recent rise of this development of Pirates, which is developing these stars and bringing them to the first team, and then they are conquering the first team. Specifically, the 3, Mbokazi, Nkota, and Mofokeng, is we're seeing how elite, at least the scouting or the development of Pirates has been in the last few years. And for that reason, I mean, it's prompting a lot of thoughts for me to say, you know what, is it possible that Pirates can intentionally then adopt this strategy where we go, you know, we could actually produce the best players in our club, and we know that they probably won't they won't stay at the club for long. They will want to have ambitions to go abroad. They will attract that sort of interest. Then we can sell them, and we're going to take that money and reinvest it into the club in other areas. And the message has been clear, I think, with Nkota, with Mofokeng, with Mbokazi, is that Pirates really can produce elite level talent. And I think what makes them, particularly desirable for the international market even now is just how technically gifted they are. But more than that, I think it's more how ready they are mentally to play in first team football, in senior football. Like, Mbokazi, of late has been such a revelation at his tender age, playing at centre back. There's already talks of, to play as a centre back as a young player is already challenging enough, but there's already talk of him being the captain of Pirates. And that's testament to the kind of mentality that is being produced, as well as the talent. Because it's one thing to produce talented players who, they can do some skills and tricks. But when faced with the questions that you get asked of in senior football for a young talented player are questions of mentality, determination. Will you have what it takes, to overcome a period of 9 months injured? Will you be able to stay and still be motivated to come back and conquer sort of that wall now that has been put in front of you? And I think that's what particularly makes the talent which is at Pirates more desirable than, say, the ones that are at Chiefs, namely Mfundo Vilakazi, and all the other kids around the league. Is Pirates are producing these young mentality, good mentality players like Mofokeng, like Nkota, we're seeing a lot of clips of Nkota right now at Al-Ettifaq with his teammates, and it's as though this is a guy who's coming as a marquee signing, and he's making everyone eat from his palm. He's making everyone laugh. He's bringing a team spirit to a club in the Middle East with all these senior guys who are probably dads and have families and all these things. And here comes this young kid from Africa who should be shy, really, coming into this environment where there's so much money, there's so much talent, and yet he comes in there and he becomes the jokester. And I think it's just testament to what Pirates is producing. And, for that reason, I think Pirates have an opportunity, if they're not already, to position themselves in a particular way. And it's what I just said, is that could Pirates now position themselves as saying, we can manufacture talent for the international stage now. Then we're going to take that money and we're going to build our club and make it even better. But obviously that comes with, a lot of its challenges, and I'm going to get to that. I want to say that the sale of these gems of Mohau Nkota, Mofokeng, and Mbokazi, insofar as Pirates, plans it right and positions itself in a particular way, doesn't have to be a loss, but it can be a leverage. I think when you think about what I already mentioned, that the transfer revenue of Mohau Nkota is rumored to be around 25 to 28 million rands, the transfer fee that Pirates will get from selling Nkota to Al-Ettifaq is around that money. Mofokeng would command an even higher transfer fee. And I'm just thinking that, that's not small. That money is not small. And how could Pirates then go and reinvest that money so that the club isn't destabilized by the sale of these young stars who go abroad? Like, if Pirates can bring in a 60 million in one transfer window from selling one or two of their young stars, they have an opportunity to actually then go on and strengthen the team, even though every year they have to sell a young star player, and I think this is particularly interesting to me because I have ideas about like what could Pirates do to kind of maintain like a continuity, because with the loss of Mofokeng, I was on here like a couple of episodes back speaking about that, with Saleng going and Mohau Nkota now gone, it's absolutely essential for Orlando Pirates to keep Mofokeng, otherwise they risk losing the very core of the identity of Pirates, because the attack is the very soul of what Pirates is about. That's what I keep saying, is that the Pirates attack is the very identity of Pirates. And heading into a window having to lose Nkota, Mofokeng and Saleng sounds a bit detrimental to me, but when I think about it more, I go, okay, well, if Pirates thinks about it and says, well, we're going to position ourselves as a club that produces that kind of talent and sells it, what could Pirates do to then keep, sustainability, keep competitiveness, keep the continuity in the club, and be able to do that sort of thing? And I for one would like to. I've already proposed this strategy before on this channel, and it was specifically I think I was speaking about the signing of Nemtajela or not, but I think I was speaking about that. But my idea has always been that if Pirates can say to themselves, when we make a signing, our policy is we are signing someone in the ages of 24 to 27 years old. If we're signing a player that we want to go and plug into the spine of our team, is we're signing someone who's around the age of 24 to 27. So why am I saying 24 to 27? I think 24 specifically for that age is because he's about to enter into the prime. So he's not too young. It's not too much of a risk. If you already know the player and you've scouted him and he's been around, is that 24 is a bit of like a maturing age as compared to, say, 21. And this is not to disqualify very talented, very mature 21-year-olds, but it is rare to find matured players around that age. But I go 24 to 27 because they're just about to enter the prime. And I cut it off at 27 because you don't want to sign people who are now beyond their best years. You don't want them to come to Pirates and come and retire on your books. You want them to come and spend their best years at Pirates and then go and retire at a lesser club. And so, my kind of strategy is, if Pirates then goes, okay, when we sell these kind of players, we can go around the league, maybe even around Africa, maybe even in the international market. Say, for example, kind of like, what Sundowns has done with exploring the South American market, and saying, okay, we can go there and get a 24-year-old or a 24 to 27-year-old who has 100 games under his belt. Because the 100 games under his belt say, okay, he's got a proven track record of playing at a particular level, And if we can get, someone around that age and that experience, we know that at 24 to 27, the European ambition is probably not going to happen anymore. It probably has died. So I'm thinking of players like Saleng, I'm thinking of players like Maswanganyi who were signed around that age. Is that, when you sign those players, you are signing them to be the very core of the spine of Pirates. And you are saying with one transfer fee from a Mohau Nkota sale, you can go and get Tito, Saleng, and someone else. And those are the players on whom you build. And then the cherry on top of that is what Pirates is now becoming very good at, which is manufacturing our own talent. And then you know that you are plugging one player on the spine of the 24, 25, 26, 27-year-olds who are going to be at Pirates for a long period. And then you know that the sale of a Mofokeng, the sale of Nkota is not destabilizing the whole system, but rather it's feeding again what Pirates do, which is with that 25 million rand, you can then go sign Tito, Saleng, and again, another 25-year-old. And I think, this is not a foreign concept. If you think about clubs like Ajax Amsterdam, if you think about clubs like Red Bull Salzburg, Red Bull Leipzig, Brentford, Southampton at some point, some clubs have, positioned themselves to saying, we're a club in the Netherlands in the case of Ajax Amsterdam. And so we know that our league is not the best league in the world. So our players will always have the ambition to go to England. They'll always have the ambition to go to Spain. So what we're going to do is we're going to produce this elite talent. And to do that, we're going to take every money that we get from selling our best players, Frankie de Jong, Ryan Gravenberch. We're going to take that money and we're rather going to invest it in scouting these young gems. And knowing that we find the best 12-year-olds, we find the best 13-year-olds, we spend a lot of money finding those players. We put them under our system. I beg your pardon. They get groomed by someone like Tugutugu Makanya at Orlando Pirates. And when he's 19 and he comes onto the senior team of Orlando Pirates, his transfer value is now 30 million rands. Then we sell him to Europe. We take that 30 million rand, we reinvest it to fund the whole kind of system again, which is invest in finding the best players again, finding the youngest talent again, finding the best talent in the league and bringing them to Pirates at the age of, again, 24, 25, 26. Those players are not leaving, so they can form your spine. Sipombule right now is not leaving. He can form the spine. Oswin Apollos, again, he's another one. At age 24, he looks like he's the succession plan of Mofokeng because he's going to stay at Pirates. He's going to form that core of the team. But to hang your hopes on someone like Eneo Mokoena is detrimental. But rather what you should do is you should think of him as, okay, these are the gems that we sell abroad and they command the large transfer fees for us. And then what we do is then we reinvest in building our club, building it again and again and again and again. So we can position ourselves, Orlando Pirates, as the team in Africa which produces the best talent. And then that talent, it goes abroad with large transfer fees. And those transfer fees, they come back to Pirates to feed again the system of finding the next young gem or the next few young gems. And those gems, we know they're not going to cost us a lot. But as soon as we promote them and they play a couple of games for Pirates and they play in Africa and they score some goals, suddenly he's 40 million rands. And then the sale of one of him goes and he buys 4 other good players for Orlando Pirates, age 24 again to 27. And he goes and he funds the scouting of the next young talent. And that's sort of like my proposition. I think it would take a lot of vision from management. It would take a clarity to position themselves in that way. It would take, them being bold, because it's not every 19-year-old that you promote that you'll be able to sell. I'm thinking about, Silepe. Yes, he is in the first team right now. Cameron Danson, he is in the first team right now. But we've seen with people like Azola Chobeni, we've seen with someone like Sasani, they're all highly rated, but it's not all of them who will be able to reach the level where Al-Ettifaq comes calling, or PSV Eindhoven were rumored. I know Orlando Pirates have now dispelled that as fake news by kickoff, that PSV was interested in on the table with Pirates for Mofokeng. But for you to, it's not every player that's gonna attract that sort of interest. It's not every young player, but every 1 or 2 seasons, every second season, you might be able to actually, if you concentrate your efforts in finding the best talent, you might every second season be able to find that gem who you're going to sell abroad. And those that don't, you might be able to sell them locally. And I was just saying that, I mean, it would take a lot of guts, it would take a lot of boldness by Pirates to position themselves as a create and sell kind of club, to adopt that kind of model where we say we know that the South African PSL is not going to be the ultimate destination for these young players, so they will want to go and play abroad. So in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to produce the best talent that we know is going to be sold to Barcelona, is going to be sold to Brighton and whatever club that you know, those players attract interest from. And from that, obviously, again, attract, you know, the £2 million, which is around 40 million rands. And then from that, we can reinvest, say, 10 million into our youth football and youth scouting and all of that. And then we can take the 30 and we can split it into 3 signings in the PSL. We can get the best player at TS Galaxy, say. We can go and get the best player at Stellenbosch. We can go and get the best player at Cape Town City, whatever the case may be. And then those will come age 24 with 100 games of experience, and they'll form the core of Pirates for years to come. And then, you know, you're just sprinkling your young talent on top of that spine. So that's sort of my idea. But again, like I said, it does need like a clear succession plan from the club to say, okay, when we have Mofokeng as our best player, who's next in the pipeline? Who's the replacement? Maybe Oswin Apollos, whom we know when Mofokeng leaves, Apollos is a plug and play on that left wing. And then we continue. And then we know that we have Mbokazi. We know Mbokazi is probably going to attract, say, interest from Brentford. When Mbokazi gets sold, who's going to play in that centre back? So it will need this foresight from the club. It will need like this boldness. It will need this succession planning. It will need a very clear plan, a very clear vision as to what the club is doing. But I think we can. I think we should. I think specifically it hangs on the fact that, you know, the South African League will never be the ultimate destination for these young players. And so if you do create them, you know you're creating them to sell them. And so you could leverage off of that, you know, and not have to suffer from it. You can leverage off of selling Mofokeng because he can go and strengthen the club with the money that you sell him for. And that's where I think Pirates should go. But what do you guys think? Do you think it would be a great, you know, do you think it would be a great plan for Pirates to go that route? Do you think it's not feasible? For what reason? I'd like to hear it all. But let me leave it here, up the mighty Bucks. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video from Talking Buccaneers. If you did, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all our future content.